This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Good Saturday morning and welcome to another edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk right here on ESPN Radio 94.1, brought to you by Larry King Law. You know who to go to if you're injured in an accident. You just dial up 757-INJURED for Larry King. LarryKingLaw.com is the website. You can also find us on the Twitter page, 757 Sports Talk. ESPN Radio 941.com has all the podcast material as it is state championship Saturday here on this 20th day of February. High school basketball championship games. We got some local teams in action. Green Run boys, Smithfield boys, Princess Anne girls. We'll tell you all about that in a little bit here on the program. The coach, Ed Young, will join me. We're doing some broadcasting tonight for the NFHS Network. All those games available via stream and on demand on NFHSnetwork.com. Oh, by the way, you got high school football getting rolling on Monday. We'll give you some high school football material and thoughts coming up here in a little bit. We'll be joined by the head football coach of the Cox Falcons out of Virginia Beach, Bill Stachelski, to talk about his team's opener, which is coming up on Friday against Kempsville. A lot of games happening across the area next week. There are some districts that have fans, some that won't. At the moment, we're here in Norfolk, not going to allow fans. Same for Portsmouth in the Eastern District. Williamsburg, James City, don't know that they're going to have fans right now. That could all change, but of course they extended the amount. You can have up to 250 for outdoor events here. So that's encouraging news for the athletes in fall sports and football. And we got the March Madness college basketball tournaments. It's not that far off in the distance. Coming up next month. It'll be here before you know it. And speaking of college hoops, we got some college hoops later on here on ESPN Radio 94.1. Well, after we are done at about 3:30, it'll be actually at 3:30. It'll be ODU, the Monarchs at UAB. You'll hear Ted Alexander and the Hall of Famer Dave Twardzik on the call right here with the Monarchs and the Blazers. You'll also hear some NBA action. Yeah, a finals rematch from a year ago. Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat, who fell to the Los Angeles Lakers. They'll be without Anthony Davis, but they do have the man in the spotlight all the time. LeBron James leading the way for them. Adebayo and Butler had triple doubles earlier this week. That'll be at 8 o'clock here on ESPN Radio 94.1. And for those that are interested, you got women's hoops, ODU, the ladies playing host to UAB at 3:30 on 1310 a.m. By the way, tomorrow, some more NBA action right here on the airways on ESPN Radio 94.1. Boston Celtics at the New Orleans Pelicans. And on Monday, you got some college hoops, 7 o'clock, Syracuse at Duke, part of our double dip ACC action there. Texas Tech at Oklahoma State, following that at 9 o'clock in a Big 12 tilt. So we'll do some more coming up here in just a little bit. We'll take a timeout. We'll have Bill Stachelski later on in the program. You'll also hear from Devante Carter, Norfolk State guard, two-time MEAC Player of the Week back-to-back. He's won the award 3 times this year, and we'll give you some Spartans talk coming up here, right here on your home for sports, whether it's local, college, high school, pro. We have it covered for you right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Welcome back to 757 Saturday Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1, brought to you by Larry King Law. If you're injured in an accident, you call 757-INJURED for Larry King. With the coach, Ed Young, I am Matthew Hatfield on this state championship basketball Saturday in February, a rare one. It's usually in March, but here on the 20th day of February, we're doing some NFHS network broadcasting tonight. We did some on Wednesday night, Coach, with Green Run defeating LC Bird in the Class 5 state semifinals. And we'll actually start right there, as that's the bracket we'll begin with. I know Class 6 is where we go chronologically speaking, usually when it comes to VHSL hoops and our recaps of things. But as we look back on the state semifinals, the Green Run Stallions winning it over LC Bird in a game that we both called on Wednesday night. Your thoughts on that game, as it was early looking like it was going to be a classic clash, but the Stallions now 9-0, getting set for Stonebridge, who was 15-1 in the state final tonight, 7 o'clock. Bulldogs and Stallions. Stonebridge 15-1. They rallied from a 4-point deficit with under a minute to play to stun Patrick Henry of Roanoke there, 67-66. Green Run, though, their guards and athleticism offset the great size of LC Bird with a number of guys 6'4", 6'6", and bigger.
You know, watching warm-ups, Matt, I kind of thought, whoa, boy, Bird big, athletic. I'm kind of leaning towards them. Well coached. Of course, Green Run is well coached. You talk about two guys over 200 career wins. Mans has a state championship already, beating Bethel High School, I think back in, was it 2017?
It was, yep.
Somewhere there around, okay. So I just felt that they had a little bit more firepower, but don't ever underestimate defending state champions, because that's what Green Run is. And they basically led from start to finish, did a great job on the thing I was most worried about was, boy, how are they going to keep this team off the glass? In fact, they out-rebounded them. I think by game's end, it was a margin of plus 11.
Yeah.
So somewhere around in that area. So that was good. Number two, what Green Run does well, run, score, they were able to do it without hesitation. And then the third thing I thought was a big key was Jacob Cooper got his hands on a lot of passes, even took some and converted them. Not only got steals, but converted steals into layup points, which had Bird backpedaling. And then the last thing I thought was big was, and I talked with Coach Harris before the game, thinking he's got to put in his zone, he's got to do zone, keep it away from the big guys. Let's see if they can knock down the jumpers, but cover shooters. And they did it well all night long because they pretty much prevented the ball from going inside. And I'd like to see, and you probably have it, what Bird's shooting percentage was, because it wasn't very good.
Well, believe it or not, as we look at the numbers here for that game, Green Run actually shot 41.4%, which was lower than Bird's 44.2%. But ultimately, the Stallions kept Bird off the foul line the entire first half. And to your points, the fast break points, 22-0 there for Green Run, and also 20-2 in points off turnovers in favor of Green Run, as Jacob Cooper and Elijah Kennedy were just absolutely spectacular in this game. And if you look at, it's hard to pick a player of the year, and they're not doing a state one for the VHSL. But if you looked at just the pure stats this year, Coach Young, for Green Run, it's hard to differentiate between Cooper and Kennedy, who is the more valuable player as you look at their numbers for the season. I mean, my goodness, Cooper's a kid that just got his 1,000th career point a week or so ago against Kempsville in the regional semifinals. He's been a 4-year starter. He was a state player of the year a season ago. And you look at him averaging right now 22.3 points per game. Kennedy's at 22.1 points per game. Kennedy's a 78% foul shooter. The scary thing for Kennedy is his three-point shooting percentage, which coming into the game was at 51%. And he's had a number of games where he's shot 5, 6, 7, even 9 made threes in a ball game this year. In fact, to that point, he's had 5 or more made threes in 4 of the last 5 games. And Cooper's right around 4.5 steals a game. I mean, it's just a 1-2 punch that's devastating for people to deal with. And then, oh, by the way, they got a 6'6" kid inside, and George Wilson, who's going to Florida State to play college football, and he's no slouch either.
Well, when we get down to individual talk, I mentioned Jacob Cooper. I failed to mention probably the most key guy of the game. Not that Jacob Cooper wasn't, because, boy, he was tremendous at both ends. Elijah Kennedy, once he settled down and missed his first couple of shots, he pretty much got what he wanted. He does it in an effortless manner, but he is a worker. And he, too, got some key rebounds. He was in the right place on defense, but he just scored. Every time Green Run needed something, he delivered it. And he was in the way defensively for Bird to really get up. Bird never got into a comfortable flow. And you're right, they never got free points from the foul line for the most part, but they didn't really attack. And Green Run's playing it. So when you settle on jump shots, for the most part, you're not going to get a lot of free throws. Bird fouled when they got discombobulated on transition defense because of Green Run steals, or when Bird played a triangle in 2 to start the game out most of the first half. When that breaks down, it leads to foul opportunities because you have 2 guys playing straight man-to-man. They get beat. They come into other areas. And if you draw that defense and then dish it off, you're going to get fouled. And that's what happened. As a coach watching the game from the sideline and broadcasting it, I thought it was called fairly well. Yeah, if I'm Bird, I'd like to get to the foul line more. But you got to do things to make the referees blow that whistle. And that didn't happen.
We won't spend a ton of time on it because we'll do a little bit more later on in terms of previewing it. But 5th win by 6 points or less for Stonebridge, which eked out a win over Patrick Henry of Roanoke 67-66. Balanced team for them with Cole DeVito, Dylan Hundermark. They got Davon Folk inside, Jacob Thomas, who's had 5 or 6 double-doubles, as well as a triple-double for Kent Klein's Bulldogs this year. But did that at all surprise you that they won at Patrick Henry of Roanoke? Did so after the Patrick Henry of Roanoke girls advanced to the state finals to play Princess Anne, which we'll discuss here in a moment. But they did so rallying in the final seconds against a team coached by Jack Esworthy, who's a veteran, that got to the state final 4 a year ago and lost a close one to Norfolk. Did that at all surprise you? Stonebridge, known for its football prowess, getting it done in basketball?
I'm a little surprised when you said Stonebridge is beat Patrick Henry, who I think had a little bit more tradition and background in basketball than Stonebridge.
Mm-hmm.
But it tells me Stonebridge got athletes. Knowing that their football team has been a power over the years, I'm sure they have the athletes there, so it doesn't surprise me.
And Patrick Henry made about 11 or 12 threes to escape a hard-fought region championship one of William Fleming. Didn't have quite as much success from behind the three-point line, at least their final play, a shot behind their own basket, down one, taking the three. I know you got a chance to watch that video. I showed it to you from the NFHS network. That surprised you, I'm sure, not getting into their main guy in Smith. They had him open if they pump fake it, but they took a fadeaway three in the corner. You see this all the time in college basketball, March Madness. We'll see it next month. It'll drive you and me crazy. I know you, especially as a coach, going for a three at the end, down one. Why do we see this all the time?
Yeah, it just against the flow of what happens. I'm not so sure, not being there and seeing it, but understanding how it happens. You're leaving in the minds or the hands of your 15, 16, 17-year-old kids. And sometimes you don't get the result that you want.
No.
I saw Henry was up early. Was only down a couple late, but wasn't able to make the right play. And watching a little bit of highlights, wasn't able to make the right play that I thought was there, but I'm not on the floor.
It's 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on ESPN Radio 94.1 on State Championship Basketball Saturday with the coach, Ed Young. I am Matt Hatfield. A lot of things. It's a fluid situation. Championships being moved and shifted all over the place with weather. And that's not just affecting the sport of basketball. As you know, Ed, it's been affecting wrestling, this sport, that sport. You name it, even some championship games for winter sports taking place on a Sunday, which I'm sure we'll dive into later on in the program as football is right around the corner, coming up on Monday with the first official VHSL game for this 2020-2021 campaign. Looking at the Class 5 girls before we jump back into the local front with Class 6 and Class 4 here and take a timeout. Princess Anne girls, they're no stranger to this big stage, are they? They defeat LC Bird 71-30. So some of those Bird administrators made the trip from PA to Green Run. They didn't get a chance to celebrate a victory for either one of their teams. And both teams have been there long before. Chevette Wall does a great job with the girls at Bird, as does Troy Mance with the boys, as you mentioned. But Darnell Dozier, we talked about it on our NFHS broadcast. He's like the GOAT. We talk about Tom Brady, Bill Russell, all their rings and all their jewelry, going for his 12th state championship, 8th in a row, Saturday, today, 5 o'clock, taking on the Patriots of P.H. Roanoke. Isaiah James, the NC State signee, 26 points for her, the sister of the late, great Ashley James, who started Green Run. Zakiah Stevenson with 18 points. Soraya Griffin, another good performance from her. And she's one of about 7 or 8 freshmen on this roster, Ed, as they make their 13th consecutive state final appearance. Oftentimes, as we've watched over the years, Coach Dozier, his team with defense, and I saw this last Saturday at Kempsville High School in the regional championship against a very good Salem girls team, which, by the way, kept it close within about 6 to 8 points before halftime. He goes off on his girls, telling them at the break, and you can hear everything now at these halftime speeches. Look, you don't want to be here, just go home. You got to play better defense. And they suffocated Salem in the third quarter last week, holding them to 1 field goal. And they're playing really good defense right now to hold Bird to 30. I think teams are defeated often before they even take the court against them, don't you? It's a mental thing as much as it is physical and the adjustments.
I think it does play a role. I think a lot of they're known statewide, have to be known statewide. And it's like you're excited about playing until you find out who you have to play. But you are playing. I'm the opposing coach. Okay, who did you think you're going to play? The worst team in the league? No, you're going to play the best team around. And they've got players and they're used to winning it. You're going to have to play hard and we're going to have to do a little extra, dig down a little extra because they're that good. I mean, how else do you approach it? You can't settle for being second best.
No.
Well, at least we got here and we lost to a powerhouse like PA. No, you got to give them all you got. For PA, I said my hat's off to Darnell. I mean, I envy him to have a program that you pretty much know every year you're going to play for a state championship, not play for a district or a regional championship, i.e. league championship. You're playing for a state championship for the most part. That's what your schedule comes to. Most of us like to add on the end of the schedule. Okay, here's district tournament, here's regional tournament, here's state tournament. Princess Anne, it's automatic. They make the schedule. What's the day of the state tournament? I put it on the schedule because our season's going all the way to that. He just does a tremendous job. He's got some great players, which you got to have to do it. And it's a shame if people just say, ho hum, PA's in there again. That it has to be exciting every single time, but not just to be there, which it is, but to win the state titles like he does.
Well, it's a common theme, I think, and thread among a lot of these teams that are playing, whether it's the Princess Anne girls, the Green Run boys, the Lansdowne boys we'll get to, and I know it was your program, conditioning. You have to be a well-conditioned team that can go into your bench, your second unit, have the energy, the stamina, the endurance to withstand things, particularly in a COVID year. And all those programs I just mentioned with PA girls, Green Run, and Lansdowne boys are built around their defense. That's their cornerstone, their hallmark, their foundation. Interesting quote from Coach Dozier, we just need to rebound. He told the Pilot after the game on Wednesday. We haven't been a good rebounding team all year, but we'll rebound Saturday. I assure you of that. Kind of throwing down the message or the guarantee we're going to rebound. So they don't have a Brittany Jackson inside from a few years ago. As we remember, she's down at Miami playing in the ACC, but watch their team without although Michelle Ojo's a pretty good player going to George Washington University in the front court for them. Watch them have a 2-to-1 rebound advantage on Patrick Henry and just, dominate the boards as they've done before against other teams like Burr or Highland Springs or whoever it's been in state finals from years past, as that'll probably be the way they get it done.
Yeah, I think if he harped about rebound, I bet that's all he did in practice was pretty much rebounding stuff. And if I know Darnell, they went at it. Some bodies hit the floor, as the song says. I got to feel that.
Let the body.
I got to believe that. And they'll be ready. And I dare say, no disrespect to Patrick Henry people, I think this is at least a 25-point win for PA.
Let's get to Class 6, Ed. Potomac boys. They stay unbeaten. Keith Honore's crew from Dumfries, 79-73 to defeat Dwight Robinson's Eagles of Lansdowne, who were trying to get back to the state championship for the second time in 3 years. Remember, they beat Lake Braddock a couple of years ago with that group led by Michael Christmas, who's now at James Madison University. And Dwight Robinson's stepson, Donald Hand Jr., in defeat, 43 points, 27 of 27 from the foul line. Yes, you heard me right. 43 points, 27 of 27 from the foul line. Such a shame that came in a losing effort because that kid's no loser. As you know, he's a darn good player and a winner. No question about it. And he's going to be a handful, no pun intended, for everyone next year.
No question. This kid has worked his way into being a solid Division I player.
Top 100 player. He's a top 100 player in the country now.
Solid all the way. And he still has another year. So, yes, to have those kind of numbers in a loss is tough to take. I'm sure it is. The young man would love to have that in a win, or I'll take less and give me a win. I'll trade the numbers in and just give me a win. But they played a very good, well-known, always seems to be in the picture, Potomac, led by Keith Honore. So it doesn't surprise me. Dwight Robinson is usually in the mix too. And he was right there, 6 point, could have went either way down to the last minute or so. But Potomac edged it out, gets to play at home. And, I kind of side towards them over Centerville. But
actually, the game's going to be at Centerville, and it's not going to be at Potomac. It's going to be at Centerville, which we'll get to. Yeah, we'll get to that. But real quick thought, a coach brought this up to me on Thursday. They said, almost critical of Potomac, like, how do you let that kid get to the foul line 27 times? What are you doing fouling him? Well, people, if a kid's that great, sometimes there's just nothing you can do. And Potomac hasn't lost all year. They're balanced. They have about 8 or 9 guys averaging between 6 to 12 to 15 points a game. Tyrell Harris, Keith Honore's son, Kyle. They don't have they have, on his estimation, 8 college basketball players. None of them's like a Division I hallmark stud, national player of hands caliber. But this was a Lansdowne team that didn't have – I mean, most of Coach Robinson's teams are balanced. They have some seasoned parts around them. And this team was a little bit inexperienced and green to an extent around him. But, boy, he carried them. And, I mean, to me, I'm not critical at all either. This was a really good game. It kind of played out the way I thought. But, man, oh, man, you score 43 and you don't miss a free throw out of 27 attempts. That's tough.
Well, the answer to going to the foul line 27 times, being a coach myself, I can kind of answer that. If you're playing against a kid who's really good and he's going to pretty much get his, there's always these two thoughts. Let him get his, but you've got to shut everybody else down. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I don't subscribe to that. I'm like, okay, he may get his points, but he's going to have to work for it. We're going to beat him up in a legal way. We're going to be all over him, which means we're probably going to have some fouls. We might even have a couple guys foul out because we're going to have different people get in his face and try to wear him down because he's going to play minutes. So we probably don't have anybody who can play as many minutes and contain him. So we're going to play very physical on it, which means he's going to go to the foul line, which we're hoping is that he's a little hesitant on a drive. He's a little hesitant on a shot because he feels he's going to get hit or bumped. That's kind of what you take to. Now, some players, especially the higher levels, college pro, they thrive on that. They don't mind it. High school, sometimes they get a little leery because they're afraid they're going to get undercut or hit. Now, I'm not advocating dirty play by any stretch of any imagination, but you be physical with somebody. So I can see that youngster getting to the foul line 27 times. Years ago, we played a team in North Carolina. They had a kid went to the foul line 41 times in the game.
41?
41 times. He made 35.
That's what you call North Carolina barbecue right there, right?
Well, I'm not going to mention the refereeing because
I just did. You don't have to.
Let me just say how bad the refereeing was. The athletic director and assistant principal from the school we played at came up to me after the game to apologize, and we won the game by 5 or 6. But this youngster, every time he touched the ball in the second half, somewhat first, but in the second half for sure, there was a whistle every single time. And we were getting upset, but I had called timeout and told our players, look, this is what's going to happen. He is going to go to the foul line every time he touches the ball in the second half. You still have to play defense. Mm-hmm. We still have to make sure nobody else does anything, and we just run our offense. One thing was we can outrun them. We were in better shape than them. I said, so we're going to outrun them. They're going to be too tired to stay with us. But the officiating was so one-sided, I was a little nervous, but I knew we were in better shape. 41 times. I have never in my life seen a kid go to a foul line of any level anywhere that many times. I think Wilt Chamberlain, when he scored his 100 points, I don't think he went to the foul line 41 times in that game. Because that's how they covered Wilt Chamberlain, was foul the heck out of him because he couldn't shoot free throws worth a darn. And if you let him dunk on you, which is what he was going to do, you were going to get hurt. But, yeah, that happened. So I can see why Donald Hand went to the line 27 times.
Chamberlain was 28 of 32 from the line, 36 of 63 from the field, in his 100-point, 25-rebound masterpiece when the Philadelphia Warriors beat the New York Knicks 169-147 back on March the 2nd, 1962 in Hershey, Pennsylvania, when Ed was sitting there in front of the TV with his Hershey bar watching Chamberlain, the Big Dipper.
Man, the most dominant basketball player in the history of the world, Wilt Chamberlain. I used to say the best, but I can't say that no more because I got to believe Michael Jordan right now is the best at doing a lot of different things at both ends of the floor. Mm-hmm. But Wilt Chamberlain, period, end of sentence, is the most dominant player ever, and there will never be another big Wilt.
I agree.
Don't forget his other big number that he had.
Oh, yeah, we can't get to that. This is a clean G-rated show, not an X-rated show.
20,000 people. Look it up. 20,000. Look up the number.
In 30 seconds or less, we've got to take a timeout here. Agree or disagree? 2 things. One, I think the Lansdowne and Hatfield, the 2 semifinal teams that fell short, will be the favorites next year to get to the state championship in Class 6. And 2, though Centerville's a reigning co-champ, they won a share of it last year with South County. I give the slight edge even to Potomac on the road against a Centerville team with a walk-on going to ODU for football and Avery Ford, and a walk-on going to Virginia Tech in football, and Chris Kazemka. You agree on both of those, or are you split on those?
Easy Lancetown's going to be there next year. Centerville, probably.
Hayfield. I said Hayfield. I said Hayfield.
I'm sorry, Hayfield.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really say much about Hayfield. I rely on you when you see a lot of these teams.
They got a lot back.
Yeah, so if they're going to have a lot back and they got this experience, because you can't replace the experience, it's needed. I can see that coming back. Potomac, Centerville, I'm going to make my prediction. I like, as a great coach once said, let me watch them warm up first, and I can tell you who's going to win.
All right, we'll come back with more here as we preview the state basketball championship games right here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. You don't want to touch that dial. It's your home for sports, pro, college, and local. ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Welcome back to 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on ESPN Radio 94.1. As always, the program is powered by Larry King Law. You know, if you're injured in an accident, who to call at 757-INJURED. With Coach Ed Young, I am Matt Hatfield. This is a great time of year, Ed. I know it's been difficult for you and many other schools around the state not getting a chance to play in the state basketball tournament, but so many storylines with these championship games, which we'll get to as we look at some of the matchups here coming up for today's state championship Saturday action. But as we left off reviewing the games from Wednesday night in the Class 5 and Class 6 state semifinals, we had some teams in other divisions. Class 4, the Smithfield Packers. Yeah, Keith's Pack, coached by Theodis Porter, Coach Poe over there. They beat Eastern View by a count of 56-49. You got a game recap up on virginiapreps.com from our pal Devin Payne, and it's a game that Smithfield used a really key second quarter run, 18-11, to grab momentum, 32-26 at the break. They were down after one quarter of play, and we talked about last week Tristan Baker having the hot hand for them. This time it was Rashad Tucker, younger brother of one, Keon Tucker, the kid who hit that game-winning shot, you remember, from beyond half court against Lake Taylor in the playoffs a few years ago. Well, Rashad Tucker drops 18 points in this one, and Smithfield holds Easterview to just 3 makes from deep. Their defense digs in the fourth quarter. They hold them to 9 points, and here they are, 9-0, playing an undefeated 11-0 Hanley team in the state championship. Smithfield trying to win their first state title ever and make some history.
Well, Theodis has done a great job there. He's really put them pieces back together there. He's mixed in some pretty decent talent. Not surprising to see him get here now. It's been working. Of course, we all remember him as one of the assistants on those really great Kings Fork championship teams under Josh Worrell. So he's put it together out there in Smithfield. They've rallied around him. And he's here. Now, are those kids happy to be here and get all caught up in it? Or is it, hey, we're here to win again? Because Hanley has been into the States. They too are undefeated. They've got a nice squad. If I'm not mistaken, they got some biggies out there. So it's going to be a battle. And again, I'll throw it out there. If you've been there before, it helps a lot. If you haven't, it can get a little distracting. Bottom line is, once they start the game, you zero in on the game and do what you have to do to win it. And normally at this time of the year, do what you've been doing and make your in-game adjustments.
Well, I know it's tough for some of the local Class 4 teams in Hampton Roads that didn't get a chance to play. Talking about Kings Fork, which won to share the Class 4 title with Woodrow Wilson a year ago. They've got that superstar guard in Jay Nepps. You think of Menchfield, Lamont Struthers' team with his sons, Allen and Etienne Struthers, and they had a talented team. Even with the graduation of Chauncey Jenkins to Wichita State, they could have certainly been right there playing for a state title. But here we are with a smaller number of Class 4 teams. Remember, just 2 teams came out of Region A all to play. Grafton, who Smithfield beat in the championship, and those Packers. The other undefeated team in Class 4, John Hanley beating Halifax County in overtime. Remember, Halifax won that 5-overtime marathon regional semifinal game at Pulaski County. This time, Halifax is unable to win in OT against Hanley, and they got a first-year coach. I always joke, babyface coach, and Zach Harrell, barely old enough to shave, I joke, because he just got done playing at Millbrook High School a few years ago in Roanoke College, and he's got one of the best scorers in the state in Dimitri Gardner, a young man for Hanley as we look at that matchup with Smithfield. Again, Smithfield's got nobody bigger than 6'4" in their lineup. Gardner is a 6'5" hybrid forward who's averaging 25 points, 10 rebounds per game. Sort of the old, going back to some of these matchups, going back to that Lansdowne matchup with Potomac. Does Smithfield focus all of its defensive energy on Gardner? And remember, they were holding people to about 41, 42 points per game coming into the state tournament. Or do they just say, all right, if he gets his, that's fine. Don't let the others beat us.
Well, again, I mentioned that a little bit earlier when we talk about Donald Hand. When you play a team that has a bona fide scorer, a big threat, do you allow him somewhat, and we don't just give it to him, to get his and really have to shut everybody else down? Or do you work hard to stop him and let somebody else beat you? I don't know what's in Theodos's head as to what his thing it is. My guess is it's safe to do what's got you there. So if you played solid defense, keep playing it. If you're a man-to-man team and it's going to work against this kind of a squad, then you play it. I always like to say it's nice to have that little trick up your sleeve that maybe you haven't used it much during the year, and now this is a good time to put it, i.e. Bird opening up the other night against Green Run in the state semi in a triangle and 2.
But Green Run had seen that a little bit, though. They played it against Kempsville. They played it against a couple teams. I mean, at this point, they're going to expect a box and 1 and some tough defense on Gardner. But, I mean, looking at their game, Hanley's win over Halifax, 52-49 in overtime. Gardner had 26 points, 8 rebounds. They got some step-up play from Curry and Lattimore, who gave them a combined 18 points, some rebounds. They shot 20 of 52 from the floor. They did have 15 turnovers. If Smithfield can get that turnover up to 15 to 20, I'm not so sure it's going to matter what Gardner does per se. It's going to be about, can Smithfield turn defense into offense for them?
Right. I think that's what's going to be is you got to get some of those easier points. If your defense can create some points for you, it's a great help. You got to make free throws because you're probably not going to get there a whole lot. You got to make free throws. And then you have to defend and get your absolute share of rebounds, because if you limit the opponents and get that second chance opportunities for yourself, much, much greater chance to win.
How about the story there with Hanley? They lost a couple of state championships before to 7-5-7 teams when Jason Toten was coaching them. He's now the new coach at Woodgrove this past year. They lost to that Norcom team coached by Leon Goolsby a few years back, had that big lead, and it disintegrated early in the fourth quarter. And then the double overtime heartbreaker for them against Lake Taylor a few years back. And Kenny Brown's Titans there, and the swan song for him as the head man with Darion Sebron, Joe Bryant, now of Norfolk State fame, Sebron of NC State, and Jalen Jordan leading the way, that dazzling trio. So maybe it's third time's a charm for Hanley against the Tidewater team in the state final. Smithfield's hoping it's not. This is a game scheduled for tonight at John Hanley High School in Winchester. So like Green Run going to Stonebridge, like Princess Anne Girls going to Patrick Henry of Roanoke, team from here going on the road, the travel here. I do wonder if it's going to have a little bit more of an impact here, given that Smithfield played its regional final and its state semifinal at home. Remember, the Green Run and PA girls got to play neutral floor for the regional championship, and that was a winner-go-home game this year, unlike past years. So I do wonder, like Smithfield going up to Winchester, Hanley in its familiar gym, they played a couple more games. I kind of give a slight favorite to Hanley, though I'm not going to discount Smithfield's chances of winning. They do have a reasonable chance to win this game.
Yeah, again, until somebody says, until you play the games, everybody has a chance. I like to think maybe this is a toss-up game. Mm-hmm. Both teams will have a legit chance to win it. I'm going to reserve my own pick in terms of until I maybe look a little bit deeper into this. But I'm a homer. I'm pushing for Smithfield because they're low.
It's game day. What are you talking about deeper? How much deeper in time you need there? Come on, chop there, buddy boy.
I got to get some more sources out there and try to find the hook that nobody knows.
Put your neck out there like me. I was 8-3 on state semifinal Wednesday. I got all the lower divisions right, class 3 and below. And missed the upper divisions a little bit. Real quick, girls, tough loss for Grafton girls. They had a great year, 63-49. Louisa beat them. We know in an ordinary year it might have been hard for Grafton to come out of class 4 with Lake Taylor and Hampton, which won the state title a year ago, and Woodrow Wilson, Kings Fork. But their girls shoot the ball well. They execute their discipline. But Louisa with Olivia McGee, if you haven't seen her, she's one of the best. Plays with Boo Williams. I believe she plays with Boo Williams' 17 elite travel team. She's a 6'3", 2023 combo guard. She's been offered by NC State. She's been offered by this ACC school, that ACC school, everybody in the mix for her. She was too much for Grafton and company to handle as they will play another undefeated team in Pulaski County. So you're going to have an undefeated girls team in Class 4 and an undefeated boys team in Class 4, as Louisa girls are 14-0, Pulaski's 11-0. You have Hanley at 11-0 for boys and Smithfield at 9-0. One game we were listening to, Ed, on our way over to Dahlia Drive in Green Run High School on Wednesday was the Class 1 boys semifinal on the radio with Alta Vista and Matthews. And Matthews was up double figures, and Alta Vista came back and won it on a Jalen Jones buzzer beater, 58-56. I know you played Matthews a year ago. They lost one of their better players from a year ago, 1,000-point scorer who graduated, Christian Williams, but they did bring back Caleb Thomas, whose nickname is KK, 1,000 points, 1,000 rebounds. That's how they call him, KK. He had a better game, just not enough, as Matthews is denied a chance for another state championship, which they shared a year ago with Auburn High School. Not the Auburn Tigers, but the Auburn Eagles from out west.
Alta Vista, Mike Carlero. I'm sticking with him. But
No. Alta Vista, Mike Cardellaro is not at Alta Vista anymore. He's at Perry McClure.
Perry McClure used to be
at Alta Vista, yeah.
I still associate him so long with there. Doesn't he has one of his assistant, as one of his former players coaching there?
Yeah, that's right. You got all twisted around there. I'll untwist you here. Sometimes you get tied in a knot. Cardellaro will have a laugh about that later when he hears it. Well, here's the thing on that. He won 4 state titles at Alta Vista, 3 in a row with that fantastic foursome led by Juan Thornhill, now of the NFL's Kansas City Chiefs. Took the Perry McClure job, be closer to his family, and I think his dad, who was elderly at the time. And they play Alta Vista, where he once coached, and their coach, Casey Johnson, son of the former legendary Emory and Henry coach Bob Johnson. Casey Johnson played for Cardellaro at Virginia High School. How about that?
There we go.
And now he's going up against Cardellaro in a game that is now going to be tomorrow on Sunday in the state finals. You like the Fighting Blues, though, with Cardellaro to beat his old team.
I think the old guy beats the young kid.
Here's why that game matters for local people. Old Dominion is recruiting the 6'10" big man for Perry McClure, Spencer Hamilton. So all you ODU Monarch fans, I think they were his first Division I offer. You might get a chance to get the big man for Cardellaro come next year. He's a junior right now.
Yes.
5 points, 10 rebounds. He's pretty good.
And if you're 6'10", you better be good, because you're a lot closer to the rim. And it's kind of neat to see a local school, Dominion, going after obviously a decent player in our state, and hopefully this young man will stay in our state.
Hey, you got another big man, 6'11", sophomore center Evan Ramsey from the Abingdon Falcons, taking on Hopewell, who is your pick in Class 3 to win the championship for boys, and we'll see how that plays out. Well, we're going to take another timeout. More to come here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Give us a follow on Twitter, 757 Sports Talk. With the Coach Ed Young, I'm Matt Hatfield, right here on your home for local sports, whether it's high school, college, and pro. We have you covered on ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young on ESPN Radio 94.1.
All right, this time here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Matt Hatfield here with you on ESPN Radio 94.1. We're joined by a special guest. He is a senior guard for the Green and Gold, the Norfolk State University Spartans, where he is the reigning 2-time MEAC Player of the Week. He averaged 19.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, 4 assists per game, while shooting 15 of 17 from the foul line this past week. He started at Woodside High School in Newport News as well. He's a 7'5" guy through and through. We say hello to Devante Carter here on ESPN Radio 94.1. Devante, how's life treating you?
Hey, it's good, man. I'm here.
Yeah, better to be here than not here. Well, tell me first of all, you guys are playing quite well in the MEAC there. Tops in the MEAC North at 7-4 in the conference, 12-7 overall, and you've had a heck of a year, 15.8 points per game, leading the team in rebounds and assists as well. What's the life of a college basketball player been like this past year here with COVID and everything?
It's definitely been different. I mean, everything's been different. It's been challenging. Clearly, just with COVID and everything, things are a lot tougher. How classes come to practice, everything's different. You know what I mean? Because you got to follow the rules and follow protocol. So I'll say things just been challenging, but you know, we're able to still get things done.
It feels like watching some of the different high school and college athletes across the country and here closer to home that it's been more of a adjustment in terms of the social life. You can't have big gatherings and hang out with your friends and go to different places, the mall, this store, that store. Is that fair to say? And what's been the biggest adjustment for you personally? Has it been more basketball or away from basketball?
You said it's been more basketball or been away from? I mean, I know, piggyback off what you're saying, just the social distance and minimum large parties. Yeah, that's tough too, because I don't know, little do you know, like if you have a party or you around 5 or 6 people outside of, school, you get expelled just for, and it could be just your family, your friends, or whatever. So, like I said, just piggyback off what you said. It has been different. Mm-hmm. Once again, it has been challenging, but I mean, that's what we got to do to, play ball and be here. So, just making it work.
Sure, and you guys have definitely powered through, and it's better for you all to get that chance to play than not. I know it's been tough for some that haven't. I know even in your own league, Howard not getting to finish out its season. Let's talk about your own game here. 3 times now you've been named MEAC Player of the Week, 2 in a row. Be honest, do those Player of the Week honors mean much to you?
No, I don't. I mean, it's good. It's good, to add, but I mean, it don't really matter. At the end of the day, my focus is to get the win. My focus is to get a chip. But that's just a plus. But it's just a plus. I mean, I'm just trying to win at the end of the day. I don't care about the individual stats.
Sure. Well, to follow up on that, though, the more you guys win and the numbers you put up, the better your team's chances are to get to that NCAA tournament, win the MEAC tournament, and possibly even for you to get MEAC Player of the Year. What would Player of the Year mean to you? Because if you were to get it, certainly your team would have to have a chance to get to the tournament.
Yeah, once again, like I said, it'd be good just to get it. But, I mean, I ain't looking for it. I ain't get my head high for Player of the Year. At the end of the day, the big goal is to win the MEAC tournament and get to the dance. So, like I said, all the other stuff is good, but I want the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is to get a chip.
Let's go back to that 31-point game you had earlier this month, a career high for you in a win over Coppin State. What was working for you?
I mean, I was able to get to the midi. I was able to get to the midi. I was able to find guys. With me being aggressive, it opened up a lot of different things. It opened up shots for me as well as my team. So just being aggressive and me being aggressive allowed me to, find good looks as well as find my teammates.
And for those that don't know the midi, that's that mid-range jumper elbow area for you, which has been lethal going back to your days at Woodside, which we'll talk about here in a second. But, my goodness, you were 15 of 17 from the foul line. There are some pros that don't do that. I mean, how much do you practice them free throws? Have you always been good or had to work at it to get better at shooting them?
Man, I've been struggling all year free throws. I mean, clearly you can see from the percentages. But I've just been doing a better job. I mean, I'm here every day. Coaches sit with me every day and try to many free throws up a day. I've been working on it. It's been improving, but still got to get better.
Well, he's staying in that lab getting it done for the Norfolk State Spartans. We're talking with Devante Carter. He played at Woodside High School in Newport News. Our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1. The leading scorer, rebounder, and assist guy for the Spartans has senior day coming up on Wednesday, February 24th as the Spartans play host to Delaware State at 6 o'clock. Devante, beating some other teams from Virginia this year like Hampton and JMU, Radford, George Mason. I know you guys lost a tough one to ODU at home, but I think 4-1. Does that hold some significance with you guys as you prepare for the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, every win helps. Especially the ones at home. You want to get the ones at home especially. But, I mean, every win counts, especially when you're trying to get to the tournament. You need every win. So it's good to be 4-1. We think we should have been 5-0 with that, but we try and get everyone, because we need them.
Sure. Well, definitely holding your own against the teams from around the Commonwealth and representing the 757 area code. I mean, yourself, Joe Bryant from Lake Taylor. You got Isaiah Chambers, Andre Bottoms from Oscar Smith, Keontae Chavis from Norfolk Collegiate. I'm probably leaving a couple guys out. How much pride do you all take in representing this area code?
A lot of pride. I mean, this is our home. You want to represent yourself as well as your family, as well as the city, and you want to represent it in the right way. So, I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot, but like I said, we're trying to do things the right way.
Let's go back to your days at Woodside for a moment. How often do you think back to those great games, teammate with Chris Orlina, Jordan Forbes, and that special group, won a region title and go into the state playoffs?
Oh, I mean, I don't really think too much on it, but those were good days. I don't really reminisce too much about it, because, we didn't win,
Sure.
But I do miss those guys, I wish them well. I hope they're doing well at their schools that they're playing at now.
Sure. Well, and it is state playoff week here for all the high school teams. Do you think back much to that game that you lost in heartbreaking fashion to Westfield against Tyler Scanlon, Blake Francis, or do you have a favorite memory that you think about more often from your days in the PD?
don't even know if I got a favorite moment. I mean, like I said, it didn't even end well with us. For 3 years straight, we struggled. We thought, we was close to getting the chip, but we didn't. There's a lot of good moments, but I couldn't even tell you my favorite moment.
Okay. Well, let me throw it to you this way. What's different in Devante Carter's game, if anything, from then to now? What's different about your game?
Oh, it's different. I shoot a little bit better, a little bit bigger, more probably. I say, I'm more vocal, especially compared to high school. I'm way more vocal, and like I said, I hit more shots, a little bit bigger, doing well from the free throw line. Overall, my game is just increasing, getting better over time. Like everything that I was probably doing before, I'm just probably doing a little bit better now,
Sure. Student of the game and mature, for sure. Last one, then we'll play some fun rapid fire. Devante, and I appreciate your time with us here on ESPN Radio 94.1. I mean, last year you guys could have certainly gone to the NCAA Tournament. The MEAC Tournament gets halted there at Scope with the pandemic. This year, your last go-round as a senior, I mean, we know you guys come back a lot, but what's it going to take for you guys to get there this year? And give me your thoughts on the tournament coming up, which is right around the corner.
Man, it's gonna take everything. I mean, that's the dream, that's the goal. Like I said, we was close to getting last year. We taking away it was due to COVID. Like I said, that's my number one thing. We're just trying to go in and do everything we can just so we get to that tournament. It's gonna take everything from the offense to the defense. I mean, everything from small things to the big thing. Mm-hmm. So everybody want to get there. We want to get there. Everybody want to get there. So it's gonna take everything in order to make that dream into a reality.
Oh, yeah, the fine little details for sure. And I know you might not say it, but I'm sure it left a chip on the shoulder of a lot of you guys that were close to it a year ago, knowing that you could have fulfilled that dream even before the senior year. All right, you ready to play some rapid fire with us, Devante?
Yeah.
Here we go with the Player of the Year candidate and reigning two-time MEAC Player of the Week from Woodside High School, now with the Spartans in Norfolk State, Devante Carter. All right, best movie or TV show you've seen in the past year is what?
Best movie in the past year?
Best movie or TV show you've seen in the last year. What would it be?
Power, I guess.
Power. Everybody's picking Power. I haven't gotten into it yet. I'll have to check it out. All right, if you can be one superhero for a day, who you picking?
Who I'm picking? I don't know, Flash.
Flash. Yeah, they call him sometimes like Flash on the court. You got a little D-Wade sometimes. Favorite late night snack for Devante? What are you munching on when you need something to eat? Reese's peanut butter cups?
Yeah.
Oh, I was addicted to those as a kid. They had to take them away from me. Now I'm on a diet. I can't eat them. If you could play anybody in one-on-one in the NBA, who are you playing one-on-one in the NBA if you could get that dream?
Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook. All right, that'd be a fun little matchup. You can only use one of these social media platforms for a week. Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, or TikTok. What are you picking?
Right now, TikTok. I'm going to say Instagram, though.
You're going to say Instagram. I was just about to ask, are you a TikToker? You're not a TikToker?
I'm not even a TikTok person, but I come across a lot of videos on the gram.
Okay.
So, I mean, they fun. And plus, my girl does a lot of TikTok.
You said your girlfriend's on TikTok? Doing a lot of, okay, yeah. There you go. Last few for you. Best dancer on the team. Who's got the best moves off the court on that NSU team? Who is it?
Joe.
Okay, Joe. I got you. Last few here. Who does the best impersonation of Coach Robert Jones on the Spartans basketball team?
Oh, that's Joe, too.
Oh, he does it. We'll have to get him next time. Let's see if he'll do one for us. And last two, visit one place in the world. Where would you go?
One place in the world?
Mm-hmm.
Probably Paris.
Paris, and go to France when we get out of this pandemic. And lastly, give us one word, the one word that best describes Devante Carter.
One word?
Yeah, one word that best describes you.
I don't know. I guess it's fun.
Fun. That is the fun-loving standout guard for the Spartans of NSU, Devante Carter, who got it done at Woodside High School in Newport News. Coming up senior day, February 24th against Delaware State at 6 o'clock. Thank you so much. Congrats on a great year so far, Devante, and keep it rolling, all right?
Sure, man. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.